Welcome to the City Rooster Forum. I'm Kenny the Rooster, and today we're going to go with the format of the breakdown and decline of American elections. We're going to use the keyword election decline, or should I say key phrase. We have a very, very bad system of elections now. It's been mutilated, destroyed, everything, but it's not good. We haven't had good elections in this country in a very long time, decades. Even if we've had a few good people in office. And what I'm talking about are the way we choose our leaders. Your election, your vote is supposed to be your voice. It's not anymore. But it doesn't have to be that way. We could bring it back to the way it was. And it doesn't take passing a new law. We could just get rid of some of these things that had corrupted our election system. It all begins with the election system. Before you can actually get into public office and do something good, you have to have a good campaign. But there are three things that make our election system so bad now. Three elements. And I'll get to the campaign part later. But the first part is the system itself. We don't need paper ballots. We don't need early voting. Paper ballots are the biggest source of ballot harvesting there is. There are so many ways to cheat with mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots give the post office access, and then the post office can do lots of things. You have ghost ballots. Ghost ballots are ballots that were never made or placed by anybody else. They're just a vote for this candidate. Then we have fraudulent ballots, which are ballots by either deceased people, people that don't exist, or people that don't even live in the jurisdiction where they're supposed to vote. We shouldn't have that. Then there's the early balloting, the early voting. Get out and vote early. Well, that's bad too. We're not supposed to have that. That's why we have an election day. People can say, well, we're cramming it in. We're not cramming anything in. We had this for over 150 years. It almost made it to the bicentennial. But now we don't have it anymore. We have early balloting. So election day is just a day to be able to set up the system the way the corrupt government wants it, and declare a winner and go home earlier than they need to, not even finish the job. And that's what's happened here with very much 99% of all our elections. I here in New Jersey will use Jack Ciattarelli as an example. Sure, it would be disappointing if he lost, which he did, but it's actually angersome of how he lost. He didn't lose because more people chose his opposition, Mikey Sherrill. He lost because there was cheating going on. Whether she was involved in it or not does not matter. The fact is, the whole purpose of voting is so there's no cheating. So we get who the people want. It's about the people, or it used to be at least. So now we're not going to have free and fair elections anymore. We're going to have the kind where there's cheating, where there's mail-in balloting, where there's early voting, where media companies can declare or pronounce a winner. They use the word pronounce a winner. At 5 p.m., Jack Ciattarelli was pronounced the loser. The reason for that was because they didn't like him. They didn't want him. At midnight, that would have made more sense, but they don't even bother waiting till midnight. They think that people just want to go to sleep. They don't really care. They don't care who the governor is when they wake up. Now, again, this is an example of what's going on all over the country. That's why we have the bad leadership in office. That's why we have government corruption. It all starts with this. We shouldn't have special donors. We shouldn't have special interest groups, too many special interest groups. We shouldn't have political action committees. We should go back to grassroots campaigning. It had none of that. And we had free and fair elections, just like our framers wanted it, just like many of our soldiers in our past fought for. That's what they wanted. They wanted free and fair elections. Well, now let's go on to the campaign. You can have a good person, good candidate, somebody you really love, and they can have a bad campaign. That's a big way to lose. Jack Ciattarelli, good man. He would be a great governor. I love him. But he had a very, very bad campaign. They made a lot of mistakes. Now, at his concession speech, which I did not get to see because I'm blocked from the site, and it was not shown on YouTube or X, or at least I couldn't find it on X, he may have thanked his hard-working campaign. But they were not really that hard-working. Because if they were that hard-working, he would have won. Mikey Sherrill, not to play her down, she may be a very nice person personally, who knows? But she didn't even have a platform. Being anti-Trump is not a platform. Jack Ciattarelli put on a platform. She did not answer most of the questions she was asked in whatever podcast or network she was on. She was very indecisive. Jack Ciattarelli, he came out there, he was certain. But he lost. And it's not because of him. It's because of his campaign. It's because of the system. The campaign had blocked a lot of people out of their site. 2/3 of all of New Jersey, that's an approximate, were blocked from going to jackfornewjersey.com or whatever the site is. I have it written down. I don't even remember it now. It doesn't even matter. I would have loved to see this site. I got to actually see it once or twice, and it was in large print, the way everybody could read it. But I was blocked, and a lot of other people were blocked. There was nobody in my area that could get to the site because they had the same problem. Just because I live in a very, very, very leftist town does not mean that they shouldn't see the site. So they had problems there. I don't know if it was the webmaster or that sort of thing, the campaign team. Also, they did not regionalize these rallies, these events that Jack Ciattarelli spent a lot of time, money, and work traveling to and talking to people over and over again, because approximately 1/3 of all the people at these rallies were roadies. What are roadies? Well, if you're into music or comedy, you would know, because musicians love them, comedians love them, traveling journalists love them, because they do a lot of benefit for them. But when you're campaigning for public office, roadies are terrible. Roadies screen out people that are at these functions that they don't like. Oh, you're voting for Jack Ciattarelli? Great. Where's your shirt? Just because you didn't wear a shirt doesn't mean you're not voting for him. I couldn't get a shirt. I had to pay for it. Anyway, that's also on his campaign team. They screened out people too. Oh, you're not registered with the Republican Party? Then what are you doing here? I'm here because I'm supporting Jack Ciattarelli. Well then, sir, why don't you do it from home, because we don't want you here. I actually had some very rude and obnoxious people there, so I could spot out the roadies. I saw them treat other people like this too. There were registered Democrats that were there to support Jack Ciavarelli, but they were also treated the same way I was. Since I was blocked from the website, I could not find where all of his events were all the ones that were near me were. I only went to 5 of them, and that's because somebody I knew who I met, who I now made friends with, had sent me emails about him and typed it up manually, but when he sent me links to Jack's site or any pictures or anything from Jack's site, it came up as a big square with an X in it because I was blocked from his site. I was blocked from his Facebook page too. And I'm part of a list of people that were. And later on, his campaign manager, whose name I'm not going to release, had admitted that was true. He said, well, if we blocked you, we felt that you were going to harm the site. And I said, how do you think I was going to harm the site? He said, because you might hack it. I said, I don't even write code. And even if I did, I wouldn't do such a terrible thing. I'm here to support Jack. Why would I want to hack his site? And they said, well, we're just using our discretion. And he told me, don't feel bad because we've blocked over 3,000 people from the site that we felt might try to hack the site. That was another flaw of a bad campaign. You don't block people from the site that you're using for the campaign site. And then there are the roadies. That's a problem. Well, the campaign site in a state like New Jersey, that's the fourth smallest state. The only states that are smaller than New Jersey in area are Rhode Island, Delaware, and Connecticut. Even if New Jersey has more people per square mile than every other state, states as small as New Jersey in area are good states to regionalize your campaign events so that these roadies don't follow you all over the state and start to screen out some of your supporters. Who knows how many supporters they may have screened out? Who knows how many supporters they may have made angry to vote for the opposition? But it's a nationwide problem. This is just one example. I'm using it because after all the elections that happened, the Eric Mondani election in New York, now they have a communist mayor. People wonder, how did that happen? Well, it has more to do with the fact that New Yorkers living in New York today, young New Yorkers, are not very smart. Which brings me to the public. That's the third element of this. We don't approach voting very well. We have to understand that politics is a noun variation of the word policy, which means leadership, which is what the government is for, and it's the people's government, by the people, for the people, and of the people. And it's up to the people to make our government run. If people take their eye off the ball, the government goes astray. Then they go corrupt. Then you have these kooks in office. You don't even vote the right way. This is our chance to choose the leaders that are fit to run this country, and we blow it with all these other excuses. Politics is not the same as political drama. We don't use political drama to cloud our judgment in running our government. We say, oh, we're the taxpayers, we're the bosses, that sort of thing. Well, act like a boss. Get involved. Don't just say, I don't vote, and I don't find out about who's this and who's that. Don't just allow this for political parties to run the deal. We shouldn't even have political parties, personally. And half the people that vote now, they vote by the party. They don't even vote for the candidate. I chose Jack Ciavarelli because he was the candidate of my choice. Now, the only reason I was able to vote in this year's election, being legally blind, was because that same person who sent me the emails letting me know about certain events that Jack Ciavarelli was going to hold around me took me to the polls. And even though I couldn't read the machine, and even though the machine was not accessible, even though people wanted to say it was, helped me vote. So this is the first time in years I was able to vote. He drove in the rain to my house, picked me up, drove me in the pouring rain, all the way to another town, which had early voting, and had me come inside, and they could not accommodate me, so the only way I could vote was by trusting him. That's bad. That's another bad thing about early voting. You can vote anywhere. Anywhere, anything can happen, bad or good. There are assigned poll places for voting when you have it only on election day. But now you have these early voting polls, early voting poll locations. Now, I would never trust a stranger I didn't know to vote for me, because it wouldn't be a vote for me. It would be a second vote for them, and they would choose the candidate of their choice. So I was a sucker for that a few times. I learned the hard way. Machines were originally made so that everybody can use them. Now they've done away with them. In my state, a former governor did away with them. He claimed it was because of a lawsuit. I don't believe it. I'll never believe it, especially since he's a lawyer. And he was the governor at the time, so he could have rectified this. And now the state I'm in uses junk. These machines are the same size as the old machines, but they're junk. They don't even adjust fonts. They just make two sizes, small and bigger than small, and that's it. And then they have an audio that's not even in sync with the pages, so that a totally blind person could put headphones on, listen to the audio, listen to the instructions, and by the time the audio tells him he's on page 1, it's actually on page 8. So the audio is not even in sync. So that totally blind people vote for the wrong person. If any totally blind people in New Jersey are still voting at all. Probably not. And a lot of states are like this. They're trading in their fully usable, fully efficient, fully accessible machines for junk and saying, oh, well, it complies with the Americans with Disabilities Act. In another video, I'm going to talk about the Americans with Disabilities Act and why it's not even worth the paper it's printed on. And this is coming from a disabled individual. Getting back to the election flaw, people that vote by party. Why would you want to vote by party? Why would you want to be a loyalist to a certain party? Why wouldn't you just want to go with the better person, the better candidate? They go out there to speak, they go out there to talk, they go out there, and if you have a good candidate that speaks and talks and delivers to the people and shows that they care about the people, why would you want to vote for them just because of the party they're in? That means that some people don't even know anything about him, but they're voting for him, and other people are voting against him, not knowing anything about him because of the party he's not in. Or she. So that's the type of situation you have. When you are a lifelong Democrat or a lifelong Republican or a lifelong any type of party, you're throwing away your right to vote unsolicitedly, because then you've already pre-planned that you're just going to stick along party lines, not knowing who the hell you're going to vote for. And that's not right. And that's why our election system in America is being thrown away. You have a voice, use it, and use it properly. Personally, everybody should be independents. Now, if somebody runs as an independent, the media writes them off as, oh, whose vote they're going to cut into more? This person or that person? This party or that party? They don't talk about the independent as a serious candidate for that position. They never do. George Washington was the first president of the country, but even more so, and I'm saying this, even it should be a no-brainer, but there's too many people here who don't study history. He was an independent both times. He was also the only person to achieve U.S. presidency as an independent. He didn't believe in parties. Most of our framers didn't believe in parties. Most of them spoke out against it. Alexander Hamilton, who was a framer and did many great things, including starting a newspaper called the New York Post, was an independent. Now, people say he may have been part of the Whig Party or this or that, or maybe he didn't fill out properly, but these framers were independents. If they were part of a political party later on, they were told it was the only way they were going to be able to win the election and achieve office. The other part of why the election system went bad is why lots of things go bad. We have political action committees, PACs. We have super PACs. We have lobbyists. Why should we have any of this? It's not a job. It's just a pencil-pushing way of driving money to places where they could go, whether they belong there or not. We should outlaw lobbyists. We should outlaw political action committees. We should make sure that the only donors that give to a political campaign are private donors. That way, political parties or the campaigns don't make the mistake of trying to solicit through email or mail for money every person they can think of. Now, from both parties that were running for governor of New Jersey, I received in my email box over 700 email donation requests from two parties. You would think that if I didn't give the first, the second, the third time, why would I give the 100th time or the 200th time? It wouldn't make sense, but that's what they do. It gets ridiculous. And also, it clogs up internet. A lot of people eventually spam it. Many times you can turn off a supporter by sending them excessive emails or snail mail letters, as they call it, snail mail. And this is why, for all that's real, the election system has been botched. It's been just torn apart. It's garbage now. Will we get it back? It all depends on the people. Somebody's got to push back against this. If we don't start to push back against this like some other things, we're going to lose our system. Many people have heard the phrase, we could lose our country if we don't step up. But starting with the election system, they say your vote is your voice. Well, make it again your voice. And with that, I would like to say like, share, and subscribe to the City Rooster Forum. And make sure that you get the word around and let people know about everything the forum has to offer. And I thank you for watching.